Malek stood near the grand piano, deep in conversation with two men. He glanced at the stairs as soon as Nalia appeared at the top, his body attuned to her presence. A small smile played on his chiseled face, and his eyes clung to her in a hungry, proprietary way. She clutched at the banister, her knuckles white. She gave him a slight nod, then descended the stairs, focusing on the sea of unfamiliar faces below that floated on waves of silk and champagne. Anything to ignore the embers in his eyes. She was grateful that Malek's summons had sent her to the staircase. It bought her a few more moments to search for the jinni who had been sent to kill her. Nalia's eyes swept over the guests, her body listening for jinn energy. Nothing. Just the usual assortment of Hollywood elite, suave criminals and political power brokers. White-jacketed waiters flitted about the room with silver trays bearing delicacies, while men in black suits stood near the room's exits, scanning the crowd. Malek security. He never had an event or traveled without them. As she reached the last step, a small man dressed in the simple tux of a servant touched her elbow, then stepped back in deference.
"Miss Nalia, Mr. Malek bade me tell you to join him in the study," he said.
His slight British inflection had always been soothing to Nalia's ears.
"He will be there momentarily."
She glanced toward Malek, but his back was now to her. She sighed and nodded at his assistant. "Thank you, Dozen." Nalia grabbed a glass of champagne from a tray as she made her way to the study, a prop to give her hands something to do. She ignored the appreciative stares of the men she passed, barely noticing them. She was thinking about the dagger hidden underneath her dress, and how it would have to meet its mark on the first attempt. Whoever he was, the jinni nearly outmatched her in strength. She wanted the fight over with as few injuries as possible. Where are you? It wasn't like she could kill him in the middle of the party. Even if she wanted to, it'd be a challenge. Her body ached with the after effects of the summons. Simply walking was draining. Every few seconds, the room would buckle as a wave of nausea passed over her. She needed to replenish her qian as soon as possible. Drawing from the energy of the elements was the only cure for the punishing magic of her master's summons. Then she'd deal with this assassin. Nalia pretended to take a sip of the champagne as she passed the string quartet Malek had hired. Just as she was nearing the farthest edge of the room, she felt the jinni. Nalia turned, searching the faces around her. There. The eyes. 2 glittering emeralds focused on her with a hunter's intensity. It was just a flash, and then he was gone. She hadn't gotten a good look at his face, and she couldn't risk walking through the party a second time. Malek would be furious enough as it was. She nodded to the guard in front of the study's heavy wooden door. He stepped aside so that she could enter. The room was dim. Instead of the ornate chandelier that hung from the ceiling, only a small rose-colored lamp had been lit. The windows looked out onto the garden, a riot of color year-round, and her favorite place to hide when Malek was in one of his moods. But it was dark, and all Nalia saw was her reflection in the panes. Bookshelves lined the walls, stuffed with tomes on history and the supernatural. Though it wasn't cold, a fire blazed in the fireplace. She suspected Malek had had Delson start one. It didn't matter the season. Any room Malek spent time in had to have heat, lots of it, and fire. She'd never counted, of course, but she was sure he went through thousands of candles a year. It was one of the strange things that made Malek. She'd given up trying to understand his mood swings, his agelessness, and the way he always got what he wanted, without exception. All she needed to know was that he controlled her life, and probably always would. Nalia stood before the stone mantle, letting her eyes glaze over as she pushed every thought from her mind and focused her awareness on the fire. She waited.